between somebody that's in incarceration, in prison, and somebody that's walking here, but it looks the same. The mind is still locked, and we know that Christ came and he died on a cross. He died so we can be free. He died so we can have life more abundantly. But why is it when something is happening in this world, we all fall victim? Well, some of us fall victim of it. And it just shows me a lack of understanding, and there's a lack of truly not getting his knowledge. He talks about in the word that my people perish for lack of knowledge, and we're not supposed to come to the the mind of this world. We're supposed to actually operate in a different mind. We're supposed to operate in the mind of Christ, a kingdom more so mindset. Kingdom mindset is not um, reactive. A kingdom mindset is a mindset that is proactive. If you are right now, if you find yourself in a position where you're in confusion, you're in fear, you're in lack, he said, I have not given you this spirit. So what is going on? I'm going to tell you tonight. Um, One thing that is going on is you don't understand how the kingdom operates. You don't understand that there are laws that governs everything. Everything is governed by a law. You know, you have the 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 law of air, right? You have law of gravity. If I grab this phone and I drop it, I know it's going to fall based on the law that's behind it. But a lot of us, we know in this world there's physical laws, but then when it comes to spiritually, we don't think there's spiritual laws. Yes, you get baptized and you get filled up with the Holy Spirit, but that's one portion, right? Because you're going to go to heaven. That's true. But you're still living here. Why bring you here just for you to go to heaven, just for you to die to experience heaven? I don't think our Father wanted us to experience it that way, you know? I believe that he wants us to, as it is in heaven, it shall be on earth. And I think you should have heaven now. And heaven is from a perspective of thought process, because what makes the difference? What makes the difference between somebody that is a believer and somebody that's not a believer, right? It's like one is going to heaven and one is ultimately going to hell. But here's the thing: those people that don't believe, they can have their heaven here. Although it can be a false sense of heaven, because we know as a believer, when you receive Christ, you're actually going to heaven and you have authority here on earth. Why is it people are prospering that don't believe in Christ? Well, they let me tell you this. They are still in bondage. They're still in bondage. They're just operating laws, okay? It's a law to get wealth. It's a law to be healthy. All these things are laws, and they're just following the laws and principles that God has placed here on earth. He says, I reign on the just and I reign on the unjust. So we have to pick up these laws and understand how to get out of bondage, because he, it's we can't just go out here and try to teach the gospel to people out in the world, and we as believers are not fully free. I would say this: you are free through Christ, but if you don't know how to work out your salvation, then guess what? You're going to be bound. And it's a false bondage. It's your old pattern. You were going back. You're going back into your old self, into your old ways, and Christ has set all of us free. It's a wonderful feeling when you can actually be whole, be a whole person from spiritually to mentally to your physical. It's a beautiful thing. But you gotta understand these basic laws that El Shaddai has put in place. So let's just get into it tonight. So we're gonna go in. Let's go to Proverbs 23, verse 7, right? And it says here, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." I want to stop right there. It says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." What does that even mean? Because a lot of people don't get what thinking in your heart is. Well, let me help you with this. Thinking in your heart is you being convicted, you meditating on something in your mind so long that it has root. Once that thing has root inside your heart, inside your mind, that's what it means to think in your heart. It's something that you think unconsciously and consciously. It could be like, I have to pay bills. I have to go out and pay bills. And then what? You go and then you work to pay those bills because you begin to think, well, if I don't pay the bills, I'm going to be, I'm not going to have power. I'm going to be kicked out. And so what? Your body follows suit to go now work. And some of us actually go out there and we take certain jobs, or we may do certain businesses that goes against our morals or character, but that's who you are. That's exactly who you are. If you think about something for so long, eventually you will do it, because our body operates based on how we think. Okay? Our bodies operate based on how you think. So if you want to change something about your body, if you want to change how, if everybody is saying where you may be a nonchalant person, or maybe you have this energy about you, people don't gravitate to you, I guarantee you it's something that you're thinking about. And I'm going based, this is the foundation that I'm laying for you guys. So you guys can know that the way that you think impacts you. And tonight we're going to be set free. We are not going to leave this teaching the same. We're going to be set free, right? So, and the rest of this verse says, so I'm going to just read the whole thing over again. "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you." So you ever been with someone, and you it's maybe you guys went on a date before, right? And you could tell that person is just not there. That's the first thing you say. The first thing you say is, "You seem like you're not here. Where are you?" That person, physically they're there, but their whole being, their whole mind is somewhere else. So eventually, guess what? They're going to either cut the date short and head to that thing that they're thinking about. Okay? This is how powerful the mind is. If someone is not focused fully on what's in front of them, they will begin to operate from a place where they want to be. And this is good and bad, because somebody could be set free. They can go through the deliverance, and then next thing you know, They're thinking about the past. They're thinking about how their life was before Christ. So guess what? They're now those neurons, those pathways are like, okay, well, I thought you was renewed. I thought you was baptized in Christ. But since this is the pattern that you're running, this is the program that you're running, the old program. So nothing is changing. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to eventually go back and do the same thing. And you're wondering why nothing is happening for you because you're living the life that you lived before Christ. Mm. You are living the life that you lived before Christ. So guess what? If you're living that old life, you cannot walk in true freedom. You cannot. I mean, you can't. It's impossible for you to receive the promises of God if you have the old mindset. All right? Now I want to go, let's go to Matthew's 5:28. Matthew's 5, verse 28. And all of this is in KJV, but you could read along and NIV as well. So it says here, verse 28, but I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. In his heart. I'm dealing with the mind tonight. I'm setting you guys free. Not that you actually physically lay down with the young lady or the man, whoever it is. It says you already committed adultery, right? Let's read that again. It says, but I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery. When you look at someone, it's not that your eyes is looking. No, your eyes is a pathway to the brain, to your mind, because your your brain is communicating with your eyes and say, oh, that's what that is, right? Like this is a microphone, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a microphone. My brain is registering what I'm seeing, if that makes sense. So if you go out and you lust after somebody, that means that thought pattern is in your mind. This is how powerful the mind is. This is why we have to watch what we think about, because everything around us, this whole world, everything, it came from a thought. How do we know this? Genesis, God said, "Let there be light," and His Spirit hovered upon the deep, and then the Spirit called those things forth. Those things wasn't there, but He called those things forth. Why? Because it was a certain thought pattern. So the spiritual world is what's real. This comes secondhand. So whatever you see and you begin to think, whatever enters in you, that's when it becomes good or bad, right? It has to enter you. Once that thing, Christ said, it's not about what a man puts in his mouth, eats, right? It's whatever comes out the man's heart, mouth. That's what defiles the man. That is what defiles the man. So it's not what goes in, because if it goes in, and he said, the devil came to me and he found nothing in me. So whatever you intake, if it has root, if it gains root, because you can have certain thoughts. Yes, we know the enemy throws arrows and certain thoughts come in, but I'm talking about those thoughts that has root. Those thoughts that has an anchor, that you begin to think about it, and then you begin to speak it, and then you begin to act on it. Sit with that for a quick second. I really want you guys to sit with that of what I'm saying. Chew it. Understand this. Whatever you think in your heart, in your mind, this is what's keeping you in lack. It's not about Yeah, it's not about like this physical change of, oh, let me just do this. I guarantee you, in a week or so, if you haven't trained yourself mentally, if you haven't sat there and meditated on yourself, seeing yourself renewed, seeing yourself free, you're gonna go back to bondage. You're gonna go back to the slave fields. That's just what it is. So this is what keeps you in bondage. It's your thoughts. Whatever your thoughts are, reoccurring thoughts. This is what can keep you in bondage because it blinds you to the truth, and that truth is Christ. So it's a lot of us, a lot of believers every day, they're living their lives and they feel like, I don't know why I feel depressed. I don't know why I feel anxiety. I don't know why I am. Then they go into agreement like I am this, I am that, I am all these things, and you're coming into agreement. You begin to speak it. So now those things that was gone away, now you're actually calling them back to come and put you in handcuffs. Now it becomes a stronghold. And when something becomes a stronghold, you need deliverance. So this is why, if somebody comes and they're like, well, Joseph, I can you pray for me? Can you help deliver? Yes, but I have to be led by the Spirit, because if you're not willing to change your mind, if you're not willing to put on the mind of Christ, it won't do you no good. Because, yes, you can be free for that moment, but then after that moment, you're going to go right back into it and you're going to be back in bondage. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And people that's just out here just like, I'm just going to set you free from all this demonic. I'm going to set you free. I would just take a pause to say, if I do it, and this is why Christ said, go after he will heal somebody, and he's seen that they really wanted that deliverance. He said, go and sin no more, meaning go and change your patterns. Go and change your patterns, because those patterns are keeping you in bondage. All right. So, and then two, I really quick, this is what slavery is. People just think slavery is just this physical bondage. I'm in America. Although we're not seeing people on cotton fields or even in Africa, people are not in slavery, right, physically anymore, quote unquote. But this is a new slavery where it's more so the mind. And what happens to a kingdom? Think about this. Back then, when the king would go to war and the kingdom would take a territory, what does the people what does the king and that kingdom do? They get the most influenced people of that tribe or that nation, and they begin to make those people learn their ways, meaning speak their languages, read their languages, understand their languages, and go under their rules. Okay? And this is why even with Daniel, when the king was trying to force him to eat the food that was sacrificed to pagans, right? To these false gods, it was it was the same thing, but Daniel said no because Daniel was free. But when it's war and you're in captivity, you begin to lose what? Self identity. And they will walk you through, and you will begin to talk like them, walk like them, and then eventually think like them. Okay? So if you begin to think like them, now they got you. Now they got you because it's not the physical part. They need this mental part to break. They need you to follow suit with everyone else. And that's how slavery is. And I just want you guys to notice what's going on in your life. See if you in some type of slavery. You don't have to be physically enslaved. Once someone has your mind, then the body is going to follow. So are you. All right? So let's go to Second Corinthians 10 verse 4. I want to know, like, is this good? I hope this is helping. I hope this is helping to 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 get you guys to the next level so you don't have to battle certain things, okay? And we're going deeper, okay? We are just giving you keys so you can keep unlocking, right? It's one door, then it's another door, and it keeps going, right? And at the end of this, you'll be able to put all of this together and apply it in your life, and it's just going to be mind blowing, okay? So Second Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, it says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in El Shaddai for pulling down strongholds." Okay, for pulling down strongholds. You guys remember we just talked about the stronghold. What can be holding you? It's like a pattern, a thought pattern. This is called a stronghold. This is something that once you have a pattern, they just have it on. Like you on a airplane, right? Autopilot, and you're just flying high. So it says here, it's not carnal. So physically, it's not what you think physically. You have to go in spiritually to break what you see physically. It goes back to when I said everything around us is secondhand. Okay, it's spirit, then it's this physical realm, and the only way you can affect your physical realm is by operating in the spirit, meaning changing the way that you think, and that will change your environment. Okay, and verse 5 says, "Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ." Captivity. You're supposed to bring those thoughts into slavery. You're supposed to capture those thoughts. This is the part. Every argument. How many of us are arguing? How many of us are arguing with these thoughts? You like, these are thoughts, these are not real, but it's so real. This is we have whole just spirits attacking us, and it's an argument because you're going back and forth, and the scriptures is telling us here, cast those arguments down, okay? And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of El Shaddai, bringing every thought into captivity to obedience to who? To Christ. You have to tell those thoughts who's boss. And the word here, let me see. The word here for casting down, the Greek word means katabalo. Katabalo means to throw to the ground. Second, to put in a lower place. So when you have these thoughts, you're supposed to actually bring them down by what? By the word of God, by the word of Elohim, okay? You're supposed to bring these things down. What does Christ say about this? And then every time those thoughts come in, you're supposed to arrest them. These things are so spiritual. But no, we want to go and fight a physical person that we think is the physical person that's bothering us, but it's actually a spirit that's telling that physical person to come in. And it's because you haven't cast it down. You haven't brought it into captivity. That means you know what captivity is. You're supposed to capture it. You're supposed to arrest it with the word. Christ is supposed to carry that thing off, but Christ can't move if you don't stand on the word, if you don't operate in the word. We fall victim. We're like, oh, our boss is it's our boss that's messing with me. And Christ is like, no, I set you free from that. No one can mess with you. I have given you authority. I have given you righteousness. I have put everything under your feet. But for lack of knowledge, my people perish. Let's move on. Okay? So, Matthew's 18, verse 21, and we're going to read through 22. It says, and this is this is it right here, guys. This is when you get this key. When you get this key right here, your life will never be the same. You should not be in bondage. You should not be operating, doing the same thing that your forefathers or 10 fathers before you have done. This will change your life. This will truly set you free. Okay? How many of us we forgave someone, and when we go to get healing, the prophet or the pastor, whoever it is saying, you still need to forgive your mom. But you're like, I forgave my mom. What are you talking about? I'm fine. But I'm here to show you, if you haven't been doing this, you have not forgiven properly. So let's go to Matthew's 18, 21 through 22. And it says here, then Peter came to him and said, Adonai, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? And here it is right here. Yeshua said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but what? But up to 70 times 7. Look, that's some math, okay? 70 times 7. That's how many times you forgive. But that don't make no sense. What you mean? Like, the person is not, clearly they're not going to do this thing 70 times 7. No, they're not going to do this. That's too many times. I'd like, you know what's the saying? 1 time, shame on you. 2 times, shame on me. 3rd time, it goes on and on, all the shame. So you're not going to let somebody do this to you more than 3 times. Eventually, you're going to be like, okay, I got to go. If you did it 3 times, if you're in that boat and it's at number 10, you need to get some help. But typically, we'll let the person do something, maybe 3 times, something that's really hurtful. But it says here, you must forgive them 70 times 7. Let's get into it. What Christ is saying, and what we've been teaching tonight, if you keep having repetitive thoughts of your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your cousin, your husband, your wife, doing that thing over and over in your mind, he's saying you must forgive them, because we know that it's spiritual first and then the physical. The spiritual realm is real, and then the physical eventually it will express itself. So every time I think about my mom or my dad or that person, whoever it is that hurt me, every time I see them and I think about them, even when they're not around, I think about when they did that to me. You are reliving that action. You're literally reliving this action. That is what's real. That is what's keeping you in bondage. When it doesn't matter if you go to that person that hurt you and you're like, oh, well, I treat them nice, I'm okay. No, 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 no. That's not what Christ is talking about. Christ is talking about when you actually are alone and it's you and your thoughts. When you keep thinking about what they did over and over and over. He's saying every time that thought come in, you need to say, I forgive you, mom. I forgive you, father. I have forgiven you. He say, keep doing it 70 times 7. Now it makes sense. It makes sense that I will forgive 70 times 7 until it gets to the point where now it affects your inner. Now those thoughts don't have no more jurisdiction. And when you forgive them, this is what it should look like. You should imagine yourself having a great time with them. Every time it could have been something, maybe you were abused, or you be like, okay, I forgive you for abusing me. And then you go see yourself, maybe go on vacation, have fun, or whatever it is. That's how you forgive. And then what happens in your brain, your newer pathways, that you begin to create new ones, and your brain begin to model that shape. So now, if you're trying to get married, if you are a man and your mom did you wrong, now you can get married in a healthy relationship and you won't hold your wife in bondage. You will not hold your wife in bondage for what your mom did to you. You'll be able to marry in a healthy mindset. You won't be holding her hostage to what your mom has done. And if you're a woman, you won't be holding your husband hostage to what someone else has done. Even though you said that you forgave, no, you have not forgiven. You have not forgiven truly. You're supposed to forgive by the thought patterns. When you think of that person, you're supposed to see the fun times when you were in the car, or they let you drive the car when you were 16 years old. If it's a parent, you should not be thinking that. This is how you break free, because Christ gave us the blueprint. He gave us the blueprint with his word. He is the word. So when we begin to operate and go deeper and understand this word of Christ, we begin to become free. We begin to live in the abundance that Christ has given us. We don't go around and bleeding on everyone and saying, no, I'm fine. You're not okay. But the Bible also says, by knowledge the just are set free. And I hope this has set you free so you can understand how to truly live in abundance. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Please subscribe. If you love this teaching, please send me some comments, share it. It keeps us encouraged to continue to show up and give you deep messages like this that will change not your life, but the lives of those around you. Okay? So share with a friend. Until next time, peace and God bless.